Hello, everybody out there in internet land, all you awesome survivors. Welcome to today's episode of H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. Now, we've got some awesome folks. I mean, we always have awesome folks on here, but I'm talking on the top row. We've got some amazing people. We've got, Mr. SonyShock Steve George, one of the producers on H1Z1. And if you don't know what a producer is, we'll talk about that a little bit. Just a little moment. And right above me, the more magnificent beard, the most magnificent beard in the room here, Ellohime, awesome streamer and YouTuber and great guy all around, actually. So we got some awesome company with us today.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So, man, it's been an awesome year.
Sure has.
It's going to be more awesome next year, though.
Oh, yeah. But
In about 15 days?
Yeah, 15 days, yeah.
Or 18 days or 16 days. I don't know what day it is. Whatever.
Let's not count. Let's just...
yeah.
Let's pretend that it's not on the way. Let's just not think about it, and we'll be good.
Oh, there you go.
Let's just pretend it's, the early access date still hasn't been released yet. We're still waiting now. No. So, now I want to give a special thanks to both of you guys because, Ello, I know this isn't usually your time on camera, so, definitely always good to have you on here. And I've seen you on some other shows. You were on the Lifestyles of the Twitch and Famous. So you've been kind of getting around on these shows a little bit, and it's awesome to see you around.
Yeah, I believe that a lot of these games coming out, especially a game like H1Z1, is about community, and I tend to get a little isolated in my own streaming world, and I don't really branch out very much. So, I thought, why not reach out to the community, start talking to people early, get on a few shows, just kind of connect with everybody, because I think we're probably going to be streaming a lot of H1Z1. So, the only thing I can see really getting in the way is maybe some Evolve time, because Evolve, I'm really excited about that one too. But yeah, no, it's going to be probably the majority H1Z1. So I want to connect with everybody that's watching, the viewers and everything, and the people who are excited about the game. So that's important to me. So I've been trying to reach out a little bit more.
Awesome.
Very cool. And as well, a super very special thank you to SonyShock. Now, you are on vacation right now.
I am on vacation. As a matter of fact, the entire team is on vacation right now until the 5th. So we usually close down every year. It's kind of a tradition. We'll close down the studio like the day before Christmas, and we'll keep it closed all through the new year. We'll come back fresh and ready to rock and roll,
For sure. Yeah, I've seen that in the past years. I remember, they tried to do something a little different with PlanetSide 2, kind of in those the first time around, where it was like half the team off and then the other half the team off and meet back later. And, it was kind of interesting. But then the last year, just everybody taking a 2-week break or whatever, it seemed like it worked just fine. So cool stuff.
It's definitely good for morale too. You kind of get that time with your family. Then you come back fresh.
Mm-hmm.
It works out well.
Yeah. So
I bet you guys work your ass off over there, man.
We do.
I've always
but it's
felt
fun.
like video game. Yeah, I bet it. When you get, I found in the gaming community and everything, everybody's very much on the same page. You don't run into too many people who are kind of, not. Everybody kind of clicks. Everybody's socially apt. Everybody is very lighthearted. They tend to have a lot of fun, and they know how to relax and all that good stuff. And that's, I think that's important, for any company to take some time and, like you said, spend some time with the family, take a breather, especially before a big release. I know you guys have just been working your asses off over there, though. I bet having fun, but working hard.
Yeah, it's awesome because most of us go to work every day. I would say most of us, but probably all of us. We go to work every day, and it is, it doesn't feel like you're going to a job. You're going in, you're making entertaining products, And the best part of it is at the end of the day when you finish that product and you get it in people's hands and you get their response, whether it's good or bad, even the bad responses are interesting, but you get those responses, it makes you feel really good inside to watch people enjoying your product, So that's a cool thing. It's a really cool business to be into.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not. I think of work as like going and doing some menial or mindless task or whatever, but working on games, it is really different. It's more it's almost like a meta game of solving the puzzles and discovering, building the resources that are then going to go into this larger product. So it almost is a game of itself. Making a game, it's a really interesting process.
Well, it is because think about it. If you build yourself a stealth fighter, right? That is a very specific rule set that you follow to make that airplane fly. In our world, it's like we're allowed to cheat and do whatever we want to do, and we iterate. We go, okay, is it fun? Nope. Okay, wipe the board, start over. Is it fun now? Nope. Wipe the board, start over. It doesn't matter until it's fun. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
It's got to be so exciting too. It's got to be so exciting for you because how long you guys been working on this game?
Basically, the early roots of H1Z1 started right around PlanetSide development. So what happened was a couple guys kind of broke off, and they were in a secret room, kind of working on the idea of a zombie game. So there's no I couldn't give you a solid timeline, but it became heavily developed over the last couple years.
Yeah.
And it was,
okay.
it
So
was in the
you
background
got
up until
you.
then.
Yeah, and you got at least a couple years behind this product that you've been sitting on. You've been developing it, watching it grow. It's kind of your own little child, and then you're sending it out into the world. It's got to be a crazy time because it's kind of different from other creative outlets because usually you get an immediate response. If I'm a comedian, I go out there, I put out a product, I do a show, I get an immediate response from my audience or a broadcast or something like that. But it's the same thing with film and stuff like that too. Is the same process as your video game process. Over time, you're building something. Nobody really knows what it is. You know what it is. It's your whole life for however many years, and then now everybody's finally getting to see the product. I gotta, I can see where that's super exciting for you.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
And I mean, there's fun stuff that happens along the way, like Disco Deer, that is some sort of texture map issue or whatever. And I'm sure you saw the old images. It was like July or something. I can maybe dredge them up or otherwise, but Disco Deer was awesome. And that's just a bug. There's going to be all sorts of funny bugs. You shoot an arrow and there's an arrow sticking out of your own arm as a result. Fun stuff like that.
I think one of the arrows actually shot a human being. You guys remember that one? When you would shoot an arrow and it would actually launch a character.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Remember that one?
So that's one of the things that's just so funny with the process is sometimes something doesn't link up, or maybe when everything was being generated, when you're getting the new build together, something slipped or something had an error that didn't get caught, and so some just absolutely weird, hilarious thing happens that you redo the build again and it cleans it up, and this no way to duplicate it sort of thing. I've had that happen in the past, and this is proprietary technology. It's awesome, but at the same time it also has the faults that you guys if you're the ones who make it, then you're responsible if anything has any issues. So the whole getting builds together and just the whole process of that, it has so much room for shenanigans.
Well, I tell you, I've been doing this for 16 years, you guys, and up until H1Z1, there was always a very specific process we followed to make these games. And I'm the type that has a very laid out plan with, we do agile development. And when we came to H1Z1, we're like, okay, we're throwing all that away. We're just going to work as a garage team. And we literally sat just like a garage team, and we'd meet in the morning, we'd talk about something, guys would go off and they'd implement and come back. If it worked, to work. If not, we'd reiterate. But literally, there's no the level of project management on this team is completely different than what any of us are used to, and it's actually worked out quite well for us. It's really interesting because there's no checklist with timelines specifically. There's just a bunch of here's our wish list. Let's just kind of crank through it and see how it goes. And that's how we did this process. And most people would cringe. A lot of software engineers would probably cringe, but hearing me say that. But it actually worked, believe it or not.
No, it sounds good to me. It fits in with an agile style development process very well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a pseudo-agile, I guess. At best.
I just remember a couple of weeks ago when we were in here talking and you guys were in chat, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, went to shoot a bow, died, back to the drawing board. Went to harvest a tree, died, back to the drawing board."
Oh yeah, that was Tom.
Dying
Tom
over the most
Shank,
ridiculous
Cycles
things.
Make
Yes.
But let me ask you, how do at what point does the internal testing and everything get to a point where you start considering early access? Like where does that just for my own curiosity?
Well, so
at what point does it become like
past,
there's so many bugs, and then it's like just enough bugs where we can release,
Yeah, so we have the beauty of having early release in our ball game this time. But typically, what would happen is you'd send the product over to the QA group, right? This is a large group of people who crank on your game all day and look for bugs, and they will literally give you a red, yellow, or green light. Now, we're allowed to, as developers, to ignore that and still go forward. But typically, we kind of follow the red or yellow lights. If they give us a yellow light, we'll kind of evaluate what sort of things they're focusing in on. And if it's really major stuff, then we'll go ahead and fix it, and we'll resubmit again. But if it's something we think we can still let it out in the public, we'll let it out there, and we'll kind of fix it as we go. But typically, if we get a red light from them, we'd be like, nah, let's go back and fix it. But that was the old way. Now, the way we're doing H1Z1 is we're doing a lot of internal testing on our team itself. So we implement stuff, and we test it specifically ourselves, and we do our play tests, and we're very iterative that way. So it's a big difference. And whenever we go to early access, we know there's going to be bugs. There's going to be a crap ton of bugs. But these are the kind of bugs that you're only going to find whenever the product is in the hands of thousands of players. Us few hundred people just can't discover that level of error. So it's a whole different ballgame, and having early access on our side is gonna help us in that respect, if you know what I mean. So you guys are going to become testers at some level,
Well, yeah,
Oh,
just
yeah,
give
absolutely.
it to Neural. He'll break everything every time.
That's what I do.
Well, it's funny. It's funny how many people don't understand that, though. It's funny. Like I'll be streaming a game, and I'm like, guys, we're in early access. It's an alpha build, blah blah blah. And I'm surprised at how often I have to explain to people that getting in on a stage like this, early like this, is part of the development of the game. Like you are gonna, like you said, there's only certain things that they're gonna know on their small team. We're gonna throw everybody in there, and it's tough sometimes because people will see the game being played in early access, some bug will pop up, and they'll go, "This game sucks," and it's like, well, that's exactly how we're supposed to react when this bug pops up, so that we tell them, so that then they make it not suck. Like this is the process that we're doing. Yeah. This is a step in the development and release of the game, and it's so crazy to me how people don't register with that. What do you guys think? Like as a company or as a team over there about early access and people's perception of it. I'm sure it weighs in, but how heavily?
I think early access is still kind of an infant thing, So the only thing that I think we're taking from it is that we'd like to, being a larger company, we'd like to make sure that we put out a better product than what you would expect out of an early access product. There's been a lot of back and forth, right, in the industry. Like people release games, some of them are very incomplete, to the point where it's like unplayable on the first day it's launched, right, in early access. But in our case, we at least want to have all of our ducks in a row, as many as we can, and give you something that's decently fun to play for a while as we iterate on it. So I think we're trying to up the bar at one level.
Okay, now
and that makes sense. Real quick, let me just follow up on that, and that makes a lot of sense because when I touched the game, I got a little bit playtime with it at SOE Live. That seemed at that point beyond a lot of early access titles that I paid for.
Right.
Like that build specifically, that could have to me that could have been. So you guys taking the extra months to really put it out there, I bet it's gonna hit people. People are gonna look at this and go, okay, this is what an early access should be. This isn't so early in the development stage. It's a cash grab, or you guys really took your time and care with it. So cool, man.
And even if you take that build that we used for PAX or for SOE Live, there were significant things in the background that did not work, that didn't surface because we were working with a smaller user set. playing at the show. So it wouldn't have surfaced, and you would have never noticed it, right? And there was things like for example, object persistence in the world. You build a house, and then all of a sudden we take our servers down to patch them, and it comes back up, and all of a sudden all the stuff you built is gone. Like, we didn't have persistence running during SOE Live, but it didn't matter, right? Because the servers were running through the whole weekend, So you guys didn't notice that missing piece of functionality. So
Gotcha.
There's a lot of back-end things, things like have to do with like microtransactions, player records, backups and all that sort of thing. A lot of that stuff in the background that we had to, kind of make sure was working solid before we let the game out there. So.
Yeah. So.
No, kudos for that.
That's actually something I was kind of wondering about. I remember going way back when Smed said, like, oh, the game's going to be ready for early access in 2 weeks or whatever it was, and people freaked out, and then, 2 weeks came by, and it totally wasn't even, no mention of early access since then. So, I actually was wondering, was it something that was potentially being considered, like maybe give a really rough early access and kind of build into it like was done with Landmark? Or was it never on the table and it was just Smedley kind of being ideal?
No, it was definitely on the table. It was definitely on the table, and we were there and we were working on it. And then, I think it was one day we were all in a meeting and we're like, hey, guys, do we really want to let this out just now? Why don't we just give it a little more love? And I think it'll take us a long way just by giving it that a little more attention. And I think at that point, everybody just kind of had a coming to Jesus moment. We're like, yeah, let's hold on for a little bit. So,
yeah,
it is what it is, but it's going to pay off in the end. It's going to be a much better product for us.
Oh, I agree.
I still wanted that announcement to be like day of announcement. I really wanted it real bad, man. Because you guys are like, oh, big announcement. We're going to announce the release date. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, please say, it starts now or tomorrow, please. I think I sent something to Sven, and I was like, you can't do this to me. Don't hold out on me, man. Like, it's like 5 o'clock. Tell me something. What's going on? Because I'm as a streamer too. I want to be on. I want to be ready. Because sometimes companies do that, man. They're like, okay, we're gonna announce it, and boom, here it is tomorrow, or you're open now, or NDA's lifted. I'm like sitting over here. So. Yeah, I wanted it pretty bad when you guys were talking about.
Yeah, it's really important for you streamers to kind of be on top of that too, right? Because you guys want to get it, have it preloaded, ready to rock and roll. That couple hours is very important to you, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was sitting there checking Twitter the whole time. I'm like, all right, what's going on? Don't break my heart. And then you guys said the 15th. I was like, okay, that's doable. That's doable. I can wait. I got that.
I wanted it to be like
now keep something.
It
in
was
mind,
available
you guys.
yesterday.
So
keep
It was
it
available
in mind.
yesterday. And, yeah.
Krem, be quiet.
Yeah.
No, sorry. So for an early access game, I don't think Steam allows you to pre-purchase, nor do they allow you to pre-download. So everybody's going to be in the same boat in that particular situation. So.
Yep.
Yep. And that's actually a development that came along this year. I don't want to say indie devs ruined it, but there were a few projects from a few indie developers that didn't quite meet expectations because they were pre-selling a game that wasn't released yet, and I guess it never got released, or it had some issues or something. So, if I'm not mistaken, that happened maybe around September, October. Yeah. So, because we're following along with that with the Who's Gaming Now stuff that we do, so that it was an interesting move on Steam's part, but I totally understand why they did it, and I guess it actually adds almost a little bit of an interesting appeal to the process of H1Z1 early access. That it's your bandwidth and then ability to connect to the servers, and then the servers staying up when everybody hammers them. That determines whether or not we'll actually be able to when you'll actually be able to play H1Z1 the very first time. But the fact that it's gonna probably be a pretty quick download. Well, actually, it's not gonna be a quick download, is it? It's gonna be like many gigs, I bet.
Nah, you know what? I think right now we're floating right between. I think it's between 4 and 6 gigs.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. And time and day could be another thing, because it's not going to be like, bam, midnight, download. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's your guys' discretion. So I guess whenever Smedley's like, okay, Not
Push the
yet.
button.
Not yet. Okay, press the button.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a timing thing to make sure we're all in the office for sure. You know, because after we open that floodgate, it's going to be our lives for the next couple weeks living at SOE. Because I can guarantee you things will break, and we will be addressing fires left and right.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, I'm
completely
just
understand.
glad they're gonna. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'll go for it.
I was just gonna say, I'm just glad that they're letting us streamers in 3 days early so that we can go ahead and download the game. That's right, Steve. You're letting us in 3 days early so we can download the game before everybody else. Steve, right? That's what you're doing, right, Steve? Yeah.
That is a great suggestion, and I'm going to submit that. Matter of fact, if you grab yourself a self-addressed stamped envelope and write that to me on paper.
Yeah. I'll send it over. Oh man, I don't know where it got lost in the mail somewhere.
Don't forget to get it notarized.
Yeah, I get it notarized. Oh well, I can try at least.
You know, there has been talk about doing possibly at some point doing a VIP server for certain streamers and such, so they can possibly play the game in a more neutral environment, I guess. You know, it's kind of a tough thing, to be honest with you, because you don't want to totally remove certain types of players out of the environment, right? Because you kind of thrive on having some of the jerks in there, right? They kind of make the storyline go along for you, right?
Yeah, and you know, and there's a difference between jerks and scripters or hackers. You know, that's the biggest thing, is that streaming. You know, I have a lot of experience streaming DayZ. It's one of my main streaming games. Okay, between new releases, I pretty much hang out in DayZ land. Okay, and one of the biggest things that makes it, what makes it shine, what's going to make H1Z1 shine is whenever you have this, I run into a person who doesn't know who I am, who is on the same rule set as me, and here we are, we have open communication with this, go. You know, like we can do whatever we want. But here's the problem that always ruins it, always makes it a terrible experience, the complete opposite, is whenever somebody's hacking or scripting or something like that. We're not in the same rule set. They know who I am. They're trying to find me or stalk me, kill me, or just get camera time, whatever they're trying to do. And it just completely kills the vibe. So I know that you guys have a lot of experience with PlanetSide 2 and hacking and everything. And you guys, you know, as a bigger company, I know that you guys are going to have, anti-hacking implements, I'm sure. But man, that is such an important and huge part of streaming it. And you know, you want to show the game off to people and have fun with it and everything like that. It does you guys good. It does us good as streamers and everything. And then you just throw somebody who's hacking and it just kills everything. So I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, man, I tell you, so that's the beauty of us controlling the quality of service and us controlling the servers. That's exactly right, because we've got nice systems in place. We have pretty decent systems for anti-hacking. And if you just like Smed said before, if you look on the internet for PlanetSide 2 cheats, there's not a whole hell of a lot of them, if any. It's pretty much locked down. So, you know, and I'm sure people will find things, and we usually find them, and we patch them up quickly. So that's one great thing about the way we're going with this, is that we're controlling the servers and the quality. So at least manage that portion.
Yeah, I don't think we would necessarily need to have the reason that the whitelist service seems so appealing is just to be able to remove that element, you know. So if that element is there, you know, and it's already there, I don't necessarily see the need for a whitelist thing unless, you know, we want to do some kind of event or something that might be kind of fun. But
sure.
But yeah,
for sure. I've definitely actually thought about like a short list of like who would I actually, you know, if I had that privilege, would I actually stream snipe, and if so, who would those people be? And maybe a couple, but you know, it would
stream snipe Kari. That's
I wouldn't need to stream snipe Kari, don't you worry. She already be on the friends list. It's like not that difficult.
That's true.
Which actually, that's something I've been wondering about, and you can definitely pass on this question if it's not something that you're on the specifics for. But how's the friends list going to work? Is it just the Steam friends list initially?
Yeah, initially the Steam friends list, but you know, one of the things we talk about a lot is not blocking people or gating them by putting these unnecessary interfaces in front of them. And I'm not saying having a friends list is unnecessary, but knowing how we want the friend list to actually work and getting the user feedback on it is really important to us. You know, in the past we put out these friends lists that we think are the right way and they work properly, and then they end up just biting us in the rear, and we end up fixing them and changing them in the end anyway. So I think this round is going to start off really simple. It's like, hey, get out there, you see your buddy, hey, you're my friend, don't shoot me in the back, and you guys play together. Down the road, if there's some system in place to more solidify that, then we'll definitely work on it. Just for launch, we're going to stick with it. We're going to keep everything simple. Your friends, you just find them in the world just like you would in real life. And if you want to trade something, guess what? Throw it on the ground, pull your gun out, and make sure the transaction goes well. And if it doesn't, guns are blazing, right?
Yep.
So is there, that's a good question. So is there any kind of indication that the person that you're playing with is your friend other than, hey, I'm me, hey, you're you, and you guys can talk to each other? Like, is there like a name that comes up over their head, like, or, because that's kind of a tough thing when I'm running around playing in games, similar games is, the people who are around me, I identify them based on sight, what they're wearing, what
exactly.
Their pants. There are plenty of times that people have gone into a building, come around a corner, and I've shot them just based on the fact that they had found some new shirt, and I got spooked real fast, and then I just unloaded on somebody. So, do you guys have any other kind of indication that this person is you see their username or something? Have any idea who this person is?
So to take a real life for example, you're all the way down the road, and I look at you. I can tell it's you, right? Even without even seeing your name over your head or whatever.
It's your silhouette.
In our game, it's the silhouette, right? In our game, we don't have that. We don't have that option. So, I mean, initially at launch, there's not going to be anything with color coding names or anything like that. But it is on our to-do list, and I think it's going to help itself a little bit when we launch, because we've got a nice selection of clothing and such, to where hopefully you guys will be in the same area, and you'll know that I always wear this particular hat and this particular shirt, and you get some level of identification.
Okay.
But there needs to be something a little more. So like, it would be nice if I saw you across, down the street, and I got some sort of green color as to like you were a friend of mine or something maybe. But we're still working out the whole friends list and how it's going to work, and that all plays into that.
It's a kind of a weird thing. Either way, go ahead.
One that I've actually suggested a few times on this show, in person and otherwise, is the idea that the more you interact with somebody while you're alive and while they're alive, the more you kind of build up knowledge of that person. So if they get killed, maybe that resets or gets diminished, or if you get killed, it gets reset or diminished. But the more you spend time with somebody, friend or foe, the further away you can identify their name tag.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept, and it's got some interesting AI involved with the implementation side of that, right? But yeah, we've talked about things like that. I think in the most simplest form, just being able to click on somebody and tag them a certain color. If I see you, Ello, and I knew you killed me before, I can just click on you and maybe tag you red, so I know that you're that.
Yeah,
that kills. You know what I mean?
I like that
would
idea
even
quite
work
a
in the
bit.
beginning. We just don't have anything like that yet, so it's going to go into EA without that. We'll just have to deal with it for a little while, but it'll come around.
Yeah. One of the most exciting ideas, because you guys have talked about having kind of bigger servers and stuff like that, is getting my community into one server, being able to identify as a team or a community, take over a city, build around it or in it, kind of take over a section, kind of be like a gang, And so sure. I'm excited about the idea of that, and thinking about the logistics of taking over places, and maybe I'll have Ko join the same server, and he has his people and I have my people, and whatever. But the identifying factor of how are we going to identify these these big groups, because in a lot of these games, once you get past like 3 or 4 people, it just becomes I'm just going to say, yeah, it's absolute chaos. So. Anyways, but yeah, that's something I've been thinking about a lot. So I like the idea of, I know that it's not going to be there at release, but I do like the idea that you can maybe click and designate somebody as red, red or green or yellow or manually.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of discussion on how we're going to do that. We haven't really settled on anything, to be honest with you. But just know that discussion goes on quite a bit, and I think we're just going to have to live with it at first. is the reality
Yep.
of it, and then we'll kind of grow into that as we move forward through EA.
We'll make the red shirt gang. We'll just all wear red shirts. That's it.
Exactly.
So that way
Until the
people
other
can see
people
you
start
as
wearing red
far-
shirts too.
Well, the thing is, having the red shirts, you might as well also fire and volley with muskets. Like, that was the funny thing, is the red coats made them the British soldiers so much easier to spot in the field. It was actually kind of funny. It's like this big indicator. So I think that would almost have the same
Big
effect. You
target
guys are all
marker for the
kind of sprawled out in the forest, kind of making your way around in a kind of loose formation, and people just see a bunch of red at kind of torso height. It's like, oh, I know what's going on over there.
Sacrifices for friendship, man. It's the sacrifice we make to be friends. We're all much bigger targets, but at least we know we love each other.
Actually, I could see, and somebody had suggested this for PlanetSide too, that they would wear this. So I could see somebody wanting this in H1Z1, a safety orange hunting jacket. So that way, absolute perfect reflectivity, visibility, long distances. Whether it's something that you're doing because you're the bait guy, or you just, that's just how you play. I could see people doing that. And I could see it also, if it's an actual, like, protective insulating jacket, it might be like, well, either I freeze or I'm a big glowing target.
I like that item. It's a good item.
Could be pretty fun. It could be something also for, shenanigans, like, oh yeah, for you to join our crew, you got to put this jacket on and run, like, that way for, like,
It's
500
haze.
meters.
There's so many things you can do with a jacket like that too. You can direct traffic with that jacket.
Oh yeah.
You can go out,
Direct
you can be 100. Yeah, think about it. Imagine some guy in the middle with some like chem lights, All right. You got, you can just make our own little society in there.
Or you're posted
Crossing
out.
guard.
Yeah, posted out by a school with a crosswalk with the stop sign or whatever. You just kind of walk out when the light.
You gotta blow the whistle.
Yeah.
Sorry, traffic.
Oh,
That's a kind of a cool idea. I've never thought of whistles in a game like this. You guys ever cover whistles? Yeah, I never even thought about it.
Just noise making in general. Think about it, right? Like being able to create noise and create heat in an area to just attract zombies. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like an air horn. I'd love to drive through a town on my bicycle, right? And have my air horn. Have all the zombies come out and say, "See y'all." Just drive up.
Run them into somebody's base. Drive right through.
Have a whole
That'd be
horde of
great,
zombies
man.
behind you.
Let me ask. I know I'm sorry. I'm asking a lot of questions.
Oh, that's fine.
A lot of the development process and everything, I don't really get to talk about much. So what are some of those cool reactions? So you guys are building a game, right? And you put in this, you implement this system or this system, this system, this system. So now you've got all these systems in this kind of sandbox world. What are some of the cool things you've seen develop from that? Because like you said, what if you did put in a bicycle with with an air horn and go through a town, and then you attract all these zombies? Suddenly you're like swarming zombies. It's just a system that working, different systems working all together to produce an outcome. What are some of those, did you run into any things that you saw and you went like, oh, that's really cool how those two, kind of interacted together?
Yeah, so
wouldn't this be
you're kind of talking
needed?
about things that have evolved, that have kind of evolved naturally based on just the system and the simulation. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Things
Okay, we're gonna put fire in the game, and we're gonna put gasoline in the game. Maybe one day you were running around, the gasoline hit the fire, and crap. Is there anything that's happened like that?
Matter of fact, we did see some stuff like that. So one good one was with fire, and one day we made it to where fire could spread, and we're like, oh yeah, this is a kind of cool feature, and we put some stuff in our camp area. We lit up a campfire, and then all of a sudden our entire camp was on fire. We're like, okay, this ain't very good, because it just jumped and jumped and jumped, and all of a sudden this whole area was just engulfed in not only fire and smoke, but the entire frame rate went to shit after that, because there was just way too many particles going. So, so we have to be careful. This fire spreading. It sounds amazing and awesome, and it is, but when you have that many particles running and you're not controlling them very well, you're just letting them spread as much as they want. You're asking for trouble, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I have a lot of cool stories like that just yet, and I'm thinking that's going to happen more whenever we get live with a bunch of users. I've seen cool things like I've seen our Jeeps, like you'd be driving around in our off-roader, and I remember you'd hit a bump, and do the physics system, our whole vehicle just starts spinning like a top. Zzz, and go down the road. Just like, weird things like that, But I think we're going to see a lot more of that whenever we go live, and there's a lot of people hitting it from different directions. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I haven't even begun to try to find all the little ledges and hitches and stuff where one texture meets with another and it's a flat wall, but you can still walk along the edge of it. All that sort of stuff. Like, people are, we're going to find all of our paths.
Oh, you're going to find so much of that.
Yeah.
You're going to find all sorts of that stuff.
Like, apparently there is some spot in PlanetSide 2 that someone just showed video pretty recently, I think, that, oh yeah, that gated doorway that you can't get in, yeah, you just run up this way and you totally get in. It's like, well, there goes that terrain design.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm actually really excited for that. So I'm actually excited for some of the shenanigans, like chopping down a tree and then using that as a bridge to get into somebody's base.
So yeah, you want the tree to remain after it gets chopped down is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's there's been discussion one way or the other on it, but I think the tree remaining is really cool because it can be used as a barricade, it can be used as a bridge, a ramp. Just having a couple of felled trees is a good lure for someone, like they need wood real quick. They come over, chop in, it's like, hey, I like that hatchet. I need a hatchet. I've got a gun.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
All right. Yeah, folks, by the way, if you've entered the raffle already, you don't need to enter again. You won't be wiped if you enter again, but you only need to enter once. Now, that's actually something somebody had asked about earlier, and I don't know if the official details have been released on this, and if they haven't, then, we can just wait on it. It's no problem. But what were the details? Was there any more information about was it $39.99 version of the early access, the higher priced SQ, or is that still
being
decided?
I don't have the I know some of the details right now, but not enough to where I can share them with you guys.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that whatever we say is pretty much locked down, and we're still kind of in negotiation with each other on what we want to include in that particular pack. But we have a pretty good idea. I need to leave that one locked up for now. That's cool.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. That's actually, I was more expecting that. I figured that was something that kind of a loose end that was left for the break and can be resolved when the break gets finished up, because it doesn't seem like it's that difficult, as a publisher, to be able to add a new item on Steam or to be able to add a new version of something. So, yeah, I could see potentially even more versions of the early access going in, but it sounds like just the 2 is all you need.
Yeah, you can expect some basic things like having a handful of tickets associated with that package, things like that, most likely.
Yeah.
But we're still kind of spinning that around, figuring that out. I mean, there's more than enough ideas on what to put in that package. Just matter of just sitting down and thinking, okay, this is going to be the actual item. This is the count. These are the things, So you'll hear that next few days, probably. I bet.
You got to have something at least as awesome as Morning Wood, because I know a lot of people didn't get a chance to get Morning Wood.
Yeah, Morning Wood.
You didn't.
You can thank me.
I certainly
you can thank
did
me
today.
for that name, by the way.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I got Morning Wood. I made sure of it.
Here's a little story for you guys. The best part of Morning Wood is getting your coffee. No, really, the best part of Morning Wood is when I have to email somebody in another department, and I'm like, hey, did you get the SKU for our giveaway at SOE Live? And they reply, oh, do you mean like the bat with the nails in it? And I replied, I'm like, no, you know what it's called. You need to say it. They're just like, Morning Wood. Nobody wants to say it in the email.
Oh man, no, that's the difference. I would be all just making cracks about it left and right, it's funny. It's an item in the game. It's a play on words. Morning Wood.
Oh yeah,
it's got the U in it, but it sounds quite dirty, and that's hilarious. So I'm not saying the item like anything with that necessarily awesome a play on words, because that's hard to beat. But Something that's at least that looks that cool definitely would be a really nice sort of, because it's a really nice sort of item. I know I'm going to try to get a nail bat. It's one of the first things I craft because I want to see it and I want to show it off. Be like, hey, everybody, check out my morning wood. Because, it's funny.
You seem to be really, really you've been thinking a lot about Morningwood, haven't you?
I've been making a lot of jokes about it over the past few months since it was released.
He talks
My
about
wife's
it
probably
every
cringing
day.
in the other room right now. She's probably like, what the hell are they talking about on that stream?
We just got a little invader back there, by the way.
But we were talking about a very non-innuendo piece of equipment that we can have for H1Z1.
That's
Man. So hold on a second. Looks like there's several questions that some of the are we going to take questions from some of the viewers here?
Yeah, we can hit some questions now and then get back to it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, so scrolling up the list here, we do have quite a bit of questions. Almighty Atlas asks, are we going to be able to set a certain server size for private servers? Oh, stop there. No private servers. Next question.
We have one before that from Cleminator. How long will early access last? Is it a continual process, or will it be for only a period of time?
I did miss that. I don't know why I missed that question. I put it in there.
I just heard you read. What did you say?
How long will early access last? Is it a continual process, or will it only be for a period of time?
Early access lasts until we feel the game is complete. So I don't have a date for you guys. Literally, we're gonna bang on it. You guys can give us feedback when we all, look at it and go, "Yay! It's a final game." Then we'll put it out there. It'll go free to play at that point. But yeah, until then, it could go months, or it could go more.
Nice.
And I think the question was basically, is it going to be something that we're going to buy into and we're only going to be able to play it for a couple of weeks or a month, and then you guys are going to take it back into development? Is what I felt like they were asking.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say based on my knowledge of the product, I would say you're safe for a nice haul with the product. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a couple weeks. It's going to be in the months. Let's put it that way. At least.
Cool. And then we have a question for SonyShock. Out of all the games you've worked on while with Sony, where would you rank H1Z1 on your favorites list?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, it is, because I have a couple games that are close to my heart, but H1Z1 is definitely on the top because it is definitely the most personal product I've made with a group, because we're such a small team. I'm used to having 100-man plus teams, EverQuest 2 and such. And this one here, we're a little attack squad, and we've all become good friends, and just it's a whole different vibe. So I would say H1 has been probably the pinnacle of development for me.
Sweet.
Cool. And I know you enjoyed Free Roams a lot, because I know that comes up a lot when we talk about stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was really sad for me to have to close that game down. We really there's a special place in my heart for that game. But
So
we
it
don't want
was
to talk
you
about it.
that
'Cause
closed
I might
that
cry
down.
on
No.
camera.
Just kidding.
No, what? I'm sorry, I missed it. What game was it?
Free
It was
Roams.
Free Roams. It was a very kid-centric
yeah.
MMO.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
We had a good run. The last year, we really had a good run with it. And numbers weren't making it, so we had to move it on.
Yeah. The weight of Star Wars Galaxies. I still cry over that one.
Oh yeah.
It still
I
has
still see emails on that one.
well, the if nothing else, the crafting system and the resource system from that is something I have not seen any game even get close to, except one. It's a 2D sandbox called Edge of Space, and they literally specifically modeled it with Star Wars Galaxies in mind. So
Really?
I love those folks anyway. I've known them for 6 months or so now. Good
I hear that all
good
the time
folks.
about Star Wars Galaxies. Everybody's always raving about the crafting and.
It was
The
such an
social
awesome
setting.
system.
Yep.
Listen, if I could go back and play it now, I would probably sit down with it for 30 minutes and go, what the fuck am I playing? At the time, I'm sure it was a lot of fun. But what I think I remember, I don't think I'd be as lenient and fun with it as now, But no, it was a good game for its time for sure. I love that game.
Sure.
People are asking me where my H1Z1 hat is at. I don't wear beanies, man. I don't know. I've just never been a beanie kind of guy. I live in Florida, so we don't. No, not even a hat, anything. Any kind of extra clothing around the dome, and I kind of have a big dome, anyways. Just doesn't, I'm a big guy. I sweat a ton. You put extra cloth around this, and I'm gonna be drenched. There's no way.
Same way for me,
feel bad,
actually.
dude. I'm the only guy without a beard here. I feel really out of place.
Yeah. I mean, if you can count Crim Check,
that too.
yeah.
Hey.
He's doing his best here. He's doing his best.
It's younger than your guys' beard. Come on.
It's a novice beard. It's a Padawan beard.
It is. It'll get there.
All right. The questions are definitely
fill it in with marker. It'll get there.
continuing to come in here, so I want to get through some, and then we'll chat some more, and then hit some more of these, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions out there. Like, oh my god, they're answering questions.
So, you know what? Here's one from Zenicus that's interesting. During the development, we have resets that will push us back to the beginning survival character. So, like on major patch or updates, will the major patch updates not interrupt our progress? So, it's early access, so that very well could happen. There could be something that happens to where we just need to wipe. We hope we don't have to. We're trying our best to engineer the product to where we don't need to do that. But there's a distinct possibility that could happen. Yes. And if it does, don't come running to my house with axes and torches.
Can't wait to see those Twitter feeds.
So, Bamcha asks, is there anything you guys put in the game that later you're like, nah, that idea sucks, and then remove? I mean, the game was changed entirely. It used to be 15 years after the zombie apocalypse. Now it's weeks to months. So that alone has been a big change, but you would probably know better.
Something that we put in that we've all just decided was cheesy or whatever and just removed. No, there are things that are on hold, though. For example, right now, we currently have the virus turned off. We want to give that a little more love, I think, before we kind of let that one loose. So for a while there, it seemed like we were perpetually plagued with the H1Z1 virus on our characters. And at one point, we're just like, okay, wait, let's rethink how we're going to have this virus function. Let's shut it off for now. So, I mean, it could reappear before we launch on the 15th. But right now, we have it switched off.
Gotcha.
But it's not something that we didn't like. It's just something that we want to give a little more love to.
And the fire spreading is one you've already talked about, too.
Yeah, the fire spreading was just a technical issue, right? I mean, we could fix that by limiting how many particles you could see, but then you'd have these fires that spread across an area that look like the density of one fire. You know what I mean? It wouldn't look good anyway, so.
Yeah.
Is that something where you can continue to work on that technically and get it to where you would want it to be and still have that massive fire? Or is that just something that
I think as long as we have some level of limitation to how, there's always going to be some sort of limitation to how many particles you can display on the screen at one time. You can't get around that, right? That's just the way it works. So at some point, if we want to revisit that, we'll probably come up with some sort of system to where the fire can spread, but it dissipates quickly, where it's never abundant everywhere and it kind of goes away in some segments and kind of travels or something. But yeah, we just need to think that through a little better before we let that out.
Hey, and there's a question down there that kind of hits kind of close. How does the in-game voice work? How does the VoIP work?
So it's proximity based exclusively. Like, you're within a certain range of me, I can talk. If I can see you, I can pretty much talk and you can hear me. And it has dampening based on your distance and such. So you kind of feel that distance. So
okay.
I'm sure the hardcore guys are going to use TeamSpeak, and there's nothing we can do about that. But the in game will cover a lot of users who are standard gamers who aren't so savvy with things like TeamSpeak and such, and it'll do the trick for them.
I don't know the technicality of it, but is it where, whatever level your voice is coming through, it comes through the same on the other end? So I say you will attract zombies in the same way if you're whispering into the mic as to if you are yelling into the mic?
Yeah, well, so there's been a lot of discussion about does talking create heat? And there's an inherent problem with that. If we do make talking create heat, none of you guys are going to use the in-game chat. You're going to be like, well, screw it. I'll just go to my TeamSpeak server. I'll use Skype with my buddies and never attract heat, right? I mean, so that's another area where we just got to kind of play that through and see how that works. But, yeah, we've been wanting to do stuff like that to where you're chit-chatting over the radio. Other people can hear you, and you're creating noise for zombies, possibly. But as of right now, you can just chat in the game, and it's not going to. It doesn't create heat right now, at the moment.
I could see 3 different volume versions of push to talk working. One that's like a whisper that even has some extra muting to it, so it sounds kind of whispery. Having one that's just the normal talking volume, and then having a button you press where they're talking like this, even if they aren't talking like this, really loud, and having it that the 3 different presses for the different voice.
I think what that falls into though is like open chat, group chat, and one-on-one chat. Right? Being able to press between those 3 modes. Like literally, if I'm going to whisper to you, I want to press a key and just say something to you directly.
Fair enough.
Right. If I want to talk to my teammates, if they're within vicinity, hit the. We don't have that yet, but yeah, that's the way it should work, right?
Yeah. Well, I can
if I
definitely.
talk too much, tell me, guys, because I tend to go on rants.
Oh no, it's fine.
Oh,
I was
you're
going
good.
to say
good.
it's.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been known to rant endlessly or ramble at all.
I could barely get him to speak up on Twitch and Famous.
yeah.
That was an awesome show, by the
Having
way.
to prod me with questions. No, I think it's good that you want to talk about this stuff, and I'm okay with you rambling because that's why I'm here is to get a different perspective on some of the things that we're seeing. What's kind of cool, and again it's perspective. When you guys did that H1Z1 cast just recently, where you had Adam Clegg on there and he was playing him and stuff. One of the coolest things I liked about that was it felt like you guys were having fun, man. Like Smed was running around, you were running around trying to kill him. They were in the cop car, and then they drove off, and as far as a company showing off a game, it looked like the people that were inside the game were having a blast. And that is something that. Yeah, and that's something that I think is kind of, you watch a lot of different game developers do streams, right? And they'll show you the game, and they'll go, okay, guys, and this is what happens when I push this button, and, okay. And then you got Adam Clegg like, Smed, was that Smed that killed me? Was it him? Like, oh, man, it was him. Like, oh, man, I'm going to respawn, and you guys can hear you guys talking trash and stuff like that. Was so cool to watch,
Yeah,
so.
it was.
What's funny about that particular session was that at first we were kind of hunting down Adam and Jimmy, but then we quickly realized that Smed was just using admin commands and just arming himself to the hilt with guns and stuff. We're like, all right, we need to become the bodyguards here. So we jumped in and we kind of like protected those guys as they were protected Adam as he was traveling around, and we see Smed, he'd pop in. And he'd be dead before he even zoned into us. That was pretty funny.
Yeah,
I walked by his office and I'm like, I walked by Smed's office and I look at him and I go, man, you're a cheating bastard. And he goes, yep.
Oh, man. Yep.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
I've seen some of the stuff. Like there was a tweet somebody put out a picture from him. Server message, Smedley, I ain't no bitch, or I ain't nobody's bitch, or something like that. It's like, that's for something that's going to be going out in the public stuff. That kind of lets people know what the kind of age range of the game is here. It's the CEO is using profanity in the game. It's going to be an adult game.
Yeah, no kidding.
It definitely.
Well, when in the build that I played, I could see, maybe not necessarily an adult game. I could see people, mid-teens, lower teens, and jumping in and having fun and not being into. I mean, whenever you have a multiplayer experience, you're never sure what you're going to run into, right? With other players, but for the most part, there wasn't a gratuitous amount of blood and guts, or I mean, you shot a zombie, it fell over dead, its head didn't spray blood or anything like that. I think this is going to be pretty accessible too for the PG-13 plus, too. So
it is, and not only that, you know what, the playability of the game is very accessible too. That is my favorite part of the game, because I don't know if you guys probably don't know this, but I'm a really lazy gamer, and if I walk away from a game for more than 5 days, and it has a mechanic that's kind of difficult, and I come back and I'm just like totally lost, I'm done. I usually don't play the game anymore at that point. So with H1, I mean, literally, it's very accessible in that fact. Like, you can walk away from it for a couple weeks and come back, and you don't feel like, oh crap, I got to learn all these hotkeys and all these different things. There's very simple controls there, and I think that's gonna be a big win for us in comparison to some of the other titles like that out there.
Yeah, it's not only having a game accessible, but also easy to use. I mean, Blizzard has made a huge, crazy big company on making easily accessible games. These games that are really simple, still fun, but very simple. And I think it's a really good approach. You'll still have the level of skill when it comes to actually surviving in the world, but if you want to swing your axe or run somebody down and hit them, you're going to be able to do that pretty easily if you with the controls at least.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool, and that's good to hear.
So I said beards as a hat. Something I had been thinking about going a while back. I know it takes a lot to rig a beard on the face, but what if it was just an attachment on the hat? I wonder. Like we've done stuff like that before, where hats and they have like glasses and things attached to them. But we're doing some work right now on our character model. Matter of fact, we're working on a more advanced rig right now, which have more customizations. What you currently see, like Ivan, that current character, he's gonna get us through early access and such. And at some point, you're gonna see a new character come online that's going to have more customization available to him. Nice.
And then we'll address things like that. But for now, we're gonna Ivan's gonna get us through early access.
Very cool.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we want gloves, we want watches, we want all that sort of thing. Just ways to make you different.
For sure. And all that customization I could see being not only potential aesthetic things that people could be getting after, the station cash purchases, if not just for the skins for them when they can craft them on their own. If I'm not 100% sure how all of the aesthetic stuff is going to work with the station cache, but that level of customization definitely for people that want to have a very uniform look to them. And everybody, if you're not fully in uniform, you get shot on sight or whatever because you're clearly an imposter. That I could see that being a really big point with the game. It's like, everything appears to be in order except your monocle is on the left. Boom.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
All I want for the cash shop, I will throw down a good amount of money for a wheelchair. That's all I want is a wheelchair. I will throw down a good amount because oh man, that's all I've ever wanted. Just a wheelchair.
It's funny.
We would have so
the
much
wheelchair
fun.
comes up all the time. It comes up all the time in all of our games. We'll get people that email us like, hey, I'm in a wheelchair in real life and I'd like to actually have a wheelchair in the game, and it's just it's one of those subjects where we should probably address it at some point, but we never do. It just kind of sits there.
Well, for them, that's more of a very serious thing. For them, that's real life. For me, it's all like I want it for many different reasons. I want to be able to push a friend through, like down and everything. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much backing there is for wheelchairs in games. Probably a very small minority. But it would be such a cool. It'd be a cool tool, like just for role playing or for fun or whatever. I mean, how cool would it be you get in there like, guys, I found some bullets. I found some ammunition. Guys, I found a wheelchair, man. Like, what are we gonna do with this thing? You know, put a little, you know, your little horn on it from the bike, little ching 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 ching. You know?
Yeah. Are you less likely to shoot somebody in a wheelchair? There's a good question there. So a guy's rolling around in a wheelchair. Like, are you like, oh man, I can't
in
kill
survival
him?
horror? He's the first person I take down. He's the most dangerous. He's the least likely to suspect. You'll be messing with everybody else, you know, protecting yourself. He'll be the guy that pulls out the little, you know, the derringer and you know, gets you.
Yep.
I just thought it just sounds like such a fun like RP tool, you know, just kind of a cool. You could just push a friend around, or he can wheel himself.
I shall submit that on my return to SOE wheelchair.
There you go.
That would be awesome.
You're like, all right, all we got from this whole interview is Ellohime wants wheelchairs. All right, there we go.
It's a freaking wheelchair.
You guys will develop it.
So
You guys will develop it. Everyone will be able to use it except you'll ban my account. I'm the only one who's not allowed.
well, you have to make
What I
it
do is
all
I give
then.
you one that's missing a wheel, and you'll be like, God dang it, can't move.
Oh, well, now that would actually be getting into it, having the same level of customization for like you have for the vehicle, where you have the different parts you have to swap out.
Gotta get the tire, a little oil, a little WD-40, and hit the road, man. Anyways, I'm done with the wheelchair.
Well, Avalon Faye brought something up that I've actually been mentioning about quite a few times in the past about like shopping carts and stuff like that, and things to be able to tilt your equipment around in that isn't on your person, and that's something.
The
that
shopping
I've,
cart comes up all the time too.
Yeah.
That one always comes up.
That and the one I keep bringing up is the little Red Rider wagon, the little kids wagon thing that you just pull around with the handle. That'd be perfect actually, and I could see those being used for trade. You put your stuff in this one, I put my stuff in that one, and then we push them over.
Yeah. The other one that comes up a lot is literally, like I said earlier, is a bicycle. We all want a bicycle. Not we don't want a mountain bike. We want a little Huffy with tassels on it and a big orange flag on the back. You know, just with a little bell. You know, maybe the bell is something you find later. You're like ding 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 ding, and you're riding down the road.
Actually,
horde of zombies behind you.
Give us some stunt pegs. Give us the pegs on the front and back.
Yeah.
Let us do some tricks and
totally.
actually
Go
the full extent. Like maybe a year or two down the road is like like an April Fool's gift that's actually going to be permanent in the game. Adding basically like a Tony Hawk skating sort of thing where you got your bike, you've got your skateboard, you do tricks off of different things and get points for it. I can see that being hilarious.
We turn this into Tony Hawk Pro Survivor 12, you know? I just get some cards. Just get some cards, and you can put them in the. You can choose to put them in the wheel, you know, in the spokes. Yeah. And then you can attract zombies that way going down the street. That'll decide whether or not you want to attract zombies purposely. Whether or not you add the cards into the spokes. Yeah. Oh man. So never mind. I was going to go on a tangent. I'll leave it alone.
All right. Well,
I know better sometimes than to get into where my mind's taking me. So,
well, actually, now that you bring that up, there was one thing I wanted to touch on before. You had said H1Z1 kind of started with like a couple of people just kind of hashing out the game. I remember at SOE Live there was this mention of Sturm und Drang, the World War II themed MMO first-person shooter sort of thing, and that there was that, and then H1Z1 came up because Sturm und Drang had too many technical limitations and some stuff needed to be worked out first or something, so H1Z1 came up. Now, I want to actually ask a little bit more about that, because it seems that was all the details we got. It seemed kind of a vague sort of thing.
And I think it was meant to stay vague, but you can ask me. I mean, I may be able to answer.
Well, I guess when did the decision come along that, you know, we're not going to be able to make this right now, or we'd rather make something else to get the tech ready first?
Yeah, I think what it boiled down to is you know, we're always working on new tech in the background, and we decided that what Sturm und Drang needed was what our next generation engine technology was going to provide us. And you know, there was a group of us working on that, and we were just like, okay, let's shelf this for now until this newer tech comes online. And let's go do something else. So, you know, we've all been wanting to make this survival game. So we were like, let's make a zombie survival game.
Yeah.
And everybody unanimously agreed to it instantly. There was like no negotiation or anything. It was just like, yes, let's make a zombie survival game.
This is the
But
right
yes,
time
yes,
for it.
Yeah, it is too. Yeah, Sturm Drang will come back at some point. Don't know when, but it's all based on our tech.
I kind of look at like where the demographics are. The zombie survival horror sort of sandbox thing, that's been really popular the past few years. But if we look at the World War II simulator survival type people that want something like Sturm und Drang, that's a large community that's been around for a long time. It hasn't really gone anywhere. They'll jump on when a new game comes around and then, maybe settle on it or go back to one of their previous ones. So I think that'll be a nice thing, is that when it does come along, it'll be something to be a really nice, solid product for that giant, almost, I want to use the word diaspora for how spread out they are, what their preferences are, and what kind of stuff they're looking for in a World War II simulator sort of game. And I can see definitely that all the technology, especially the size of the maps at 16,000 square kilometers, is really going to help. The tech from H1Z1 is going to really help to achieve the goals for that game and really make it a nice, solid product. Yeah,
and new technology will get fed into H1 as we go along, and it'll be kind of field tested at a certain level, and then those same systems will work their way into Sturm und Drang at some point.
Yeah,
but that's about as far as I can go. On the details of that game.
Sure,
it's definitely on lockdown.
That definitely is a lot more than we had known previously.
I'm sure Smed's watching this right now, and he's like writing my pink slip up as I talk.
Smed, stop lurking! It's been 33 weeks. You can stop lurking, Smed. All right. Yeah, so we got a lot of questions. I want to start kind of getting through some of these, and we don't need to give long answers. It can be some speed round sort of stuff. So the one Manny asks, is there a separate item server that keeps items tracked, or keeps track of everything? This is basically a question about stopping item duplication.
Oh, I'm not going to go into details of the tech, but there is a global inventory, yes. And things that you purchase you'll be able to load them out on your character at will from this inventory system. But that's about as far as I can go on that.
Okay, I figured you wouldn't want to go into too much detail because I'm sure everyone, the people that are interested are like, oh, what can we learn about how to duplicate? How can we break the system?
Exactly.
I'm sure people will find stuff like that anyway. Actually, my favorite was when the big content update came in for a Landmark, and one of the refineries, you could just craft infinite materials from it for free. Whoops.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that got server bounced. That was pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
That was only like 2 hours. Crocus Maximus asks us, what about people who are streamers or help streamers who have tons of people on their Steam friends list because it's easier for viewers to play? There needs to be a better way for a friends list. I guess there's anybody who's got concerns about friend list stuff, let's go make a Reddit post about friends list and discuss it there. I think that would be a lot more productive and be able to get a lot more involvement from the H1Z1 team. Sound good?
It's interesting. This is kind of probably off topic, but Cycles, McCurts, Tom, and myself, we've talked a lot about having implementing a really simple system to where our client dumps out text files with certain data types in it. And this is specifically, I only learned this because I've been streaming with my kid for fun. This is our little side hobby, but having text files available with data in them, like how many times I've been killed in the session, how long I've been alive, and all these different little pieces of data that you streamers can take and attach to a widget in your stream and really customize the view for your viewers. Tom and I have talked about that. We have the tech available already to do that. So at some point you may see some systems like that in place. I know it's totally off topic, but it just came to my head. So, something like Ello could appreciate it because then you could put, you could put all your kill to death ratio. You could probably track how many zombies you've killed without having to deal with any sort of management of that in real time.
Last victim.
What do you think, Ello? Thumbs up or down?
No, thumbs up. I mean, I love I love random statistics about things. I mean, how many times I've been shot in the leg, hit with a crowbar, hit with like I love that stuff. That's always great to go back, and it makes it fun too on an entertainment level to kind of check back at that list and say, oh, it looks like I've been killed by this many guns or this, in this fashion or this many times. I love going back through that and laughing with everybody. We when I was doing Grand Theft Auto, they have a kind of a similar thing. How long have you been driving in a car? How long have you walked?
Right.
All that good stuff. And it's fun to go back through that list and go down and say, I've killed 236 civilians. like, dang, man, like that's a lot. That's a lot of people we've killed. I love that stuff.
But being able to feed it directly to your stream though is another level though, right? Being able to take that and manage that data however you want, really show it on your screen.
Oh, you're talking about like showing it right through to the.
Well, yeah. So what I'm saying is, we would save out a text file, right?
Yeah, like an OBS, and then grab it from the text.
Yeah. Then you just grab it.
I thought you were just talking about just having it in the game as like a stats page or something like that.
No, more of a customize your view so the users can see, and it's us writing text files out of certain statistics or whatever it is we want to give you guys, and you guys are molding that however you want,
I had totally missed that. I'm so sorry that I missed that whole big step process. No, that's awesome. Because that's what we do now with OBS is we just grab certain things from the text files that gets thrown automatically. If you had, oh man, that'd be so cool. It's
just such a simple thing we could do that streamers could latch onto, and it just gives you a new level of customization for your presentation.
You could do so many cool things with that. If you had a death counter or something that just from a text file. Sure. Some of us have manual stuff. You could have a competition one day. All right, guys, if you guys can manage to kill me 20 times, today in the next hour, we'll give away a game or something like that or whatever. And you just have every time you kill, just boom, right there on death count till giveaway, something like that. That'd be awesome, man. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be absolutely cool.
You really want the community involved. Also have like the last person that's killed me, so the people in your chat can kill you and see their name up there.
Yeah, it's funny. I know if we released this an XML file that had certain types of data, and it's a big running list of data, the community would probably make some of the best plugins. Regardless, we don't even need to make the plugin ourselves. The community will take that data and run with it.
Yep.
That would be awesome. Like you just said, somebody, last person to kill me. This, this person or both. I don't know if that would encourage people to try to kill me. I don't know if I'd want that up on my screen. That's a cool idea. And like you said, Steve, it's probably something so small. Yeah, I'm gonna probably be thinking about this now for the next. Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, think about it. I would love to hear some feedback from you guys at some point on what sort of data would be good for a stream. You know what I mean? So think about it. And someday if we meet up in San Diego, I don't know, maybe in the near future, maybe we can talk about it over a beer or something.
Sounds good.
For sure. I think all of us probably have visits to SOE do at some point here, so we'll figure that out. It's only a 2-hour drive for me. I just don't have any time these days. Croncality asks us, how are tickets going to work? Is it $1 for a single game? You die, you're out. Seems a bit much. I don't know that much has been revealed about tickets. Is that something that's ready to be revealed yet?
We haven't revealed much on the pricing yet, but there'll be multiple ways to get tickets. Maybe you can buy some. Maybe you can just you'll earn them in games by playing. So it's not all about purchasing. There'll be different venues for avenues for getting them.
Absolutely. I could see like a not a daily sort of thing, but like a 3 mission sort of thing, like a lot of casual games. Was a Jetpack Joyride is a good example. So you go for a run, and then once you complete one of the objectives, you get some goodies for it or whatever, and then a new objective replaces it. I could see something like that for just an easy way. That or using the something like the objective system that they added to PlanetSide 2, where you do certain things and you increase your rank in that category. A lot of different ways to do it, but something refreshable, renewable, because I'm sure a lot of people would be like, oh man, I did everything, now I've earned all the tickets I can on this account. Crap.
Yeah.
Well, what about so somebody asked, Scribe asked, will there be a leaderboard for anything like kills, statistics, stuff like that? You guys have any plans to have any kind of like leaderboard like most kills on server, most deaths on server, something like that? Or have you guys?
Yeah,
not really?
that's once again that's another one of those frosting for our cake type things, right? It's like
Yeah.
we do want to have that, and I think we just need to see how things play out for a while first before we lock those type of metrics out there. You know what I mean? There's gonna be a lot of change in the game initially, so it's just that's just one of those things we just need to kind of hold off on and wait till we're a little more solidified.
It would be really interesting to see that you could earn, once you guys do it. I mean, this is way down the road, obviously. Once you guys do implement a system like that, like a leaderboard system, maybe giving extra tickets for those who get first, second, or third place that week, or
Sure.
maybe even that day, something like that. That'd be very cool.
Yeah, incentives are always a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I see that we got a lot of questions about voice over IP, and we talked about that a bit. It's Vivox in-game. If you want to know more about it, play PlanetSide 2 or play Landmark. It's built into both of those. As for specific functionality of stuff, like whether it's going to grab aggro and stuff, we did talk about that, so if you came in a little bit later and missed that, definitely catch this on YouTube later, because it will be up. Got some other questions about some various different things, some beard questions, some server size and number of people on the server stuff, and all of that stuff is still it's still in flux. I remember Smed said, was it under 50 servers is what they're looking for, and it's hard to put a number on the players because it was like one for every one player, 10 zombies is the relative AI scale, or server impact scale rather.
Yeah, us trying to figure out the player per square kilometer ratio is going to be an ongoing thing. And what we're going to do in the beginning is we're going to fire up the servers. We're going to turn the dial to where we think is maybe it's right? It's not about how many we can hold. We already have that system down pat of holding lots of players, but it's trying to figure that comfortable point out, right? So we'll turn the dial somewhere. It won't be totally random, but it'll be a number that's somewhere in between a high and a low, and then we'll see what happens. And then at that point, we'll just keep adjusting that thing back and forth on a daily basis, probably, until we feel a nice little happy medium. And it'll change based on the server
5,000
rules.
people.
Exactly.
5,000 people. And only
Shoulder to
three
shoulder.
deer. 3 deer. 5,000 people. Go.
So we just be the three closest people will just be punching the deer, basically.
Everyone be throwing elbows. Battle, the king of the hill.
Oh.
Who's left?
I had talked a whole bunch about like different martial arts and combat styles and how they could apply, and I think ultimately it's sounds like the answer was we don't want this to become Kung Fu Simulator. Your punches or whatever, that's just what you have. No, you don't get a front kick. No, you don't get a Bruce Lee side kick that can knock a heavy bag off the chain or split it open. You're James Bond MacGyver, but you've only got the boxing skills of like, a high schooler that's taken like 2 classes. So it's kind of an interesting thing.
we do talk about giving like little perks though, and it's more for giving you reason to kind of love your character a little more and not just go jump off a bridge with them to start over somewhere. And what I mean by perks is if you run a lot in our game, maybe you get this little 5% boost that this lets you run a little longer without running out of energy, right? Or if you tend to eat at more gauged intervals, maybe your hunger level gets under control better and you don't have to eat as much as often. Things like that almost kind of simulate real life. But they're not game balance changes. They're just little perks to make you go, you know what, it's worth keeping my character. I'm not going to go just jump in a horde of zombies and start over,
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of with when I play DayZ, the only time I really feel like, damn it, I lost that character is when I have good equipment. If you got a gun and that's got a couple mags and you got good clothing, good camouflage, then you get killed, then you go But it's interesting to think of an idea where your character actually progresses and becomes kind of more hardened or more he's a better survivalist. Just based on the actions that you take, gives like you said, a little bit more of a flair to caring about that character. Because that's the thing is most people when they start off and they spawn in a game, like I said, DayZ. I hate to keep using that as a as a
That's fine.
comparable tool,
We
but that's
use it
all
too.
we have right now. Yeah, that's
Sure.
all I have right now. So, you don't really care what happens. You'll go drown yourself to get a better spawn point. That kind of thing,
Yeah.
and you might still have a lot of that, right off the bat. But I can see, that's some interesting idea that I haven't really heard about yet. So you guys are giving me a lot to think about, actually. I'm enjoying
and
this.
keep in mind that idea, it's just in discussion, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't upset the balance. It wouldn't upset the balance of the gameplay. It wouldn't be such a big perk or a group of perks that would just be like, oh, well, that guy's got A, B, and C, so I'm not going to mess with it. It's not like that, It's more like just like
Yeah.
a slight convenience, that gives you something special to latch onto with your character.
It's like an achievement ability.
Yeah.
You know what I
And it
mean? Like the
resets
achievement
whenever you
ability.
die.
Yeah. That sounds cool. I like it. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
It's been talked about a little bit here and there, and it could be interesting. I mean, that could also be something that maybe on a ticketed server or like even a battle royale sort of thing where you get one of those perks. You don't know which one it is, but you get one of them when you start your character there. Could be an interesting sort of thing. So like I said, we have a ton of questions, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't be ranting because it's awesome. Like all this discussion's been fantastic, and I wouldn't trade anything for it. But I do kind of want to poke at a couple of questions here because there's one in particular. Yeah, well, we could do that. Bastiano98 asks why a decision to exclude private servers, and it's just for security, if I'm not mistaken, because if the stuff is never put in the players' hands to host their own servers, that adds a great deal of security on the the hosted servers. So instead of having private servers, just keep it all in house.
It's just what it boils down to is we're SOE. We've always had private servers. It's our thing is providing quality of service for our products, and when we let the servers go external, that whole game changed. So it just boils down to we have a certain level of quality associated with our products that we want users to experience, and that's it.
So, Demonic Heart Gaming asks, is there a good way you can roleplay in H1Z1? There's bad ways, but I mean, just playing the game, you're almost roleplaying by default. You can't not be roleplaying to some extent. You can't be like, oh, my character has these items. Does your character have, putting OOC in front of every chat message or whatever? It doesn't seem like it's possible to really not roleplay. And maybe you're not like, going full on Jimmy Wisenhunt as Jack Bauer or whatever, like he did in that live stream some months ago. But you're kind of by default roleplaying when you're playing the game because you are playing a role in a world. So by default,
look how well it works on Altus Life, for example. I mean, that game wasn't really designed to be role playing, was it? That engine works great, right? As long as you can talk to other players and interact with them, you can role play, right?
yeah.
Well, that's the joke. Everybody always asks me like, what do you do in DayZ? What's it about? It's like, man, it's whatever you want it to be. You want to jump in here and run around and shoot people, or be a good guy or a bad guy, or you want to be the guy that collects food and you want to play the medic character. You do whatever you want to do. That's what's fun about it. If you want to jump into a game and take it real seriously, and you're like, okay, I'm going to survive, and I'm going to see if I can survive for a week with this character. You're not socializing with anybody. You're living out in the woods like a hermit, that kind of thing, just to see how long. Or maybe you're running into town acting like a jackass. That's what's so good about these games is it's whatever you want it to be. It's it's a sandbox. It's what's it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
They create a world. We live within that world, and we do whatever the hell we want. Good or bad, funny or tragic. I think it's what it specifically makes a game like this shine. So
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I will be role playing a ton, as all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Legitimately role.
As all sorts of people at the same time.
Yeah, maybe yes. I've role played plenty of multi-personality psychopaths and whatever in my time streaming. So yeah, why not?
Nice.
It's always fun. Actually, we have a good question here that just popped up in chat. Could you tell me what differentiates H1Z1 from the others? Well, it's made by SOE, and it's on the Forge Light engine, so it's got like all sorts of AAA backing behind it right there, which is pretty cool. It's not a nudity simulator. It's not a decapitation and dismemberment simulator. So if you're, looking to play with your friends or your kids or whatever, yeah, it's a little more playable for that. And many, many other differences. Honestly, I could probably do a 2 hour
I think what it
show
boils
just
down to
about
is
it.
a few things. I think it boils down to a few things. One of them, it's we focus on the zombies. Zombies are a prime focus of the game. B, the server, quality of service. That's what it boils down to. It's literally, we're just trying to provide. It's a very infant type of product still when you think about it. This whole genre is very infant. So we're just getting in with our own take on the subject.
Yeah, and there are a lot of them. It's a really popular genre of game right now. We're seeing all sorts of them pop up. Some really awesome ones, a lot of indie ones, a few AAAs, but it's been really, really cool seeing the genre kind of grow over the past year or two, and kind of where things are still going with it. Especially, I feel like H1Z1's going to be leading the charge here very, very soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it's got everything. It's coming at the right time. It's coming with the right features, and zombies don't walk through walls, so it does everything it needs to. So somebody asked. Oh wait, no, we got to that question. That was from Zenticus earlier. Excuse me.
Here's a good question. Whenever you log off, are you going to have like a sleeper character that is going to represent you in the world, or are you going to disappear? And then, maybe a follow-up question. If you guys are going to have us disappear, how long is it going to take us to disappear once we log out? How are you going to stop people from combat logging or simply getting out of situations based on,
That is currently solved in a really simple way right now. Basically, when you log out, there is a 30 right now. Well, actually, we have it turned off to like a few seconds so we can develop quicker. But if there's like a 30-second timer, so when you pull the plug or anything, your character stays in the world for 30 seconds. So if you try to combat log, there's a good chance you're going to get ganked by the time your character leaves the world.
Very cool. It's just it's such a killer, man. When you're in the middle of a fight with somebody, they go around the corner and then boom, they're gone. Just pull the plug on it just to see. It's like, come on.
It's the same sort of thing. It very much reminds me of the PlanetSide 2 bailers. If you were in a one-on-one fight in your aircraft and it's getting shot down, well, you bail out. They might get the kill for your aircraft, but that's only a few points. They don't actually get the kill for killing you, and full credit and everything. So people would just bail and screw the other people out of it. So eventually it's like, nope, the last person to deal damage to you or the vehicle you are in gets credit for your death. So that was basically the keeping people from getting their points by bailing. They just got rid of it.
Sure.
Yeah, and pulling the plug was huge. Like back in EQ days, where on the PvP servers, since it was somewhat full loot, you just run through a zone and pull the plug and sit there for 20 minutes to go play a different game, and then log back in and go on your way if you couldn't pull all your gear off or whatever.
Yeah, just think about all the lessons we learned from EQ.
Yeah.
Over the years, right?
Oh man.
I just remember you always wanted to be by a zone if you had really nice gear on, just so you could run to the zone.
I could see that. There's a question about H1Z1 not being free to play. It is going to be free to play, but that's not during early access. Early access is a bit of a different sort of thing, and it's not like a pay gate sort of thing, because aha, we're going to be greedy about things. But it's something that really guarantees that the people that are playing early access actually want to be there, and actually hopefully understand the terms enough before they threw down $20 on it, because that's a big deal.
I'll tell you what, it's in your face every time you launch the game.
Nice.
So if you don't understand when you've bought it, you're going to understand after a few play sessions.
So
like I said though, man, I still think people they don't get it, man. I just feel like
don't.
people don't get that.
no, they really
I don't
don't.
early access is still a new thing. Think
It
about
is.
it. I mean,
It is.
Yeah, it's just I like like you said, every time you log into these games, normally they do have a screen that says, warning, this is not the final product. Like every time you click OK, and it's so surprising to see how many people just don't understand it, man. But you're right, it is in its infancy. It really is. This whole early access, and I think it's a great system to explore. I think we're going to learn a lot about.
It really is, because if you think about how we made games in the past, I'll give you a great example. EverQuest 2, we went in this vacuum for multiple years, and we created all this content, there's tons of content, right? And then we finally released this. Here's our game, you guys. We give it to you on this plate, and a good 20% of it maybe people weren't interested in. There were certain aspects of it that people had no interest in, and then we ended up molding that game properly after it was launched regardless. So what we're doing is we're just kind of cutting to the chase. We're like, hey, here's kind of a slice of what the game's going to be about. You tell us which way to walk, And early access gives us that functionality.
Cool. So you guys are really looking to the players then to see where this actually goes.
Absolutely, because we do that already regardless, right? We already do that. It's just that instead of just giving it to you partially complete, we give it to you fully complete, like EQ2, like I said, and then we just rewind and fix things. Anyway, does that make sense? Am I kind of?
No. It makes complete sense to me. What are your thoughts on okay, so like you said earlier, you jump into a game, there's something that's particularly confusing, or maybe there's a system involved that, kind of keeps you from progressing, maybe it'd be a bug or whatever, you walk away for 5 days, like you said, your likelihood to come back to that game, for you personally, is less likely to get back into that game. How many people do you think will jump in, not just with your game, but just talking about early access in general? How many people do you think come into it, play the game, they, don't have their mind around the idea that this is early access, they don't have their mind around the idea this is alpha, this is a creation development process, and then they say, oh, this game sucks, and they don't come back to it, even once you have released it in its entirety, or as close to entirety as you can? What are your thoughts on that, Steve? I'm just kind of curious.
I guess you always risk losing users in that fashion, right? They'll try when it first comes out, and they'll get a bad taste in their mouth, and then years later the game's still running, and they still won't touch it because they remember that initial experience, right? Now, that is why we are really focused on going through Steam initially, because we know the user base for this type of product lives there currently. So, of course, we're gonna get those players who don't know better or might just not read the details, and we might get some of that. But I think we're going to alleviate a good chunk of that by presenting this to the current player base that plays these sort of games already through Steam. And then once we have it all dialed in, and we go to our normal station launcher through SOE, then by then it'll be a little more molded, for that type of user, right? And they'll be able to make that decision more efficiently.
So in the development process, you're targeting the places that you think obviously will house the amount of users that both play your game and that understand the process that's happening right here. Yeah, is basically what you're saying.
That's why it's starting in Steam, because literally, it's not going to be on our regular ecosystem. Which if you think about it, kind of sounds weird, right? But it makes sense because the user base is there on Steam. Therefore, this is an early access product. Let's put it in their specific hands right now and let them run with it.
That's cool. It's cool to hear the reason I want to be on the show with you is because it's the perspective that you have, as opposed to what I have from what I do, what you do. It's great. It's great learning and hearing from you, because I didn't even think about even the way you're releasing it through Steam and stuff like that. That's interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you.
So, man, I guess there's a couple of things I kind of meant to talk about a little bit earlier, just kind of looking at where things have gone with H1Z1 from when it was first released, or first, news was kind of revealed about it, to where we're at now. And I know I've played a bunch of different builds. I played the 15-year build. I played I think it was probably the PAX SOE Live build. I played like 4 times.
Yeah.
Because it was the block party. I believe that was the build. Then at SOE Live, and then at the H1Z1 at the Game 24 event, NVIDIA Game 24. So 3 different times that I played it, that specific build.
You know where you didn't play it, though? You didn't play it in Brazil with me.
I didn't play it in Brazil, and I didn't play it at the Zombie 5K, unfortunately. I wasn't able to get out to that one. But it sounds like that was a dust storm anyway. Tom was saying he was blowing dust out of his
It
nose for like
was.
full weeks, so I might have missed might not have missed too much on that one. But Ellohime, how many times have you gotten a chance to play it? What builds have you gotten to try?
I've only had the one opportunity at SOE Live, I believe, is the only opportunity that I've had to play. I had about, give or take, about 2 hours with it, I believe. I think, did they give us a 1 hour or 2 hour slot for the streamers at SOE Live? I can't remember. I've only had my hands on it a couple of times. The first time that I jumped in and played it, I jumped in and approached it like a streamer would. I want to be entertaining. I want to run around and do stupid stuff and whatever, see what the system, is like. So of course, when I see a bear, I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to run up and punch a bear. It's going to kill me. Of course it's going to kill me, but I want to see it kill me. I want to see what's happening here. It's going to be funny anyways. Like, I ran around and did that. And then the second time, the next day, I was able to, have another hour with it. And in between that, I got on Reddit and I said, hey guys, what do you want to see? I've already messed with it and done all this crazy, stupid stuff I want to do. What do you guys want to see? And they were very interested in farming. They wanted to see me plant something. They wanted to see me do some really in-depth crafting. They gave us a whole list of things that they wanted to see, and I had like an hour to do it. And when I jumped in, I just did everything that I could do. I had crafted things and shown off things that have not been, seen before. I mean, I really went into the crafting as deep as I could. We built a building. We had a farm going with seeds, like actually growing, stuff. I accidentally picked up an M16 in the woods. I was actually just running, and it's snowing. And I just saw the outline of an M16, and I went, wait, and I backed up, and I was like, is that just an M16 laying on the ground? I have no idea why it was there. I picked it up. I just happened to have looted some bullets at the very beginning of the run. And so I had a gun that I got to shoot and show off all these things. And, like I said to Steve, when I was playing it then, it seemed like a real solid build. Now he says there's things behind scenes that they were still working on that weren't going to be all that stuff. But for what I was playing, I was very, very satisfied. And I think what was more exciting was the idea of what's to come. So if this is where they have it right now, and they're not ready yet to release this to everybody, I can't wait to see where they're at, where their standards are whenever they release the next step. Because I was having fun in the build. And as far as what build that was, I mean, Steve will probably have to answer that. But I mean, it had bugs in it, little very small random things from my play experience. But for the majority of my play experience, I mean, I was able to set a trap and use it. I was able to, do some deer scent and hunt deer. There's a lot of things I was able to do. Now I'm only limited by what I don't know I can't do, So,
Sure.
You get what I'm saying. So Steve will have to answer what build it was, but it looked really good to me. And the biggest thing, I had fun. I had so much fun with it. By the time they were looking for the next person to come and stream, and I'm like, one more minute, just one more second. I just have to. They're like pulling me off while I'm still typing on the computer. Like, please no. So yeah, I mean, when I got the chance to play, it was a great game. It was a really solid game. And I think the thing that I think makes some viewers kind of wary is the interaction between the viewer and the company selling the game. So it's kind of a weird interaction. Because you understand that this company needs to sell this game. And then you understand that, the user base wants to be able to trust said company. Now, Sony is one of the most, at least recently, to you guys' credit, you guys are very transparent now. You guys, I think you guys have developed that very much. in the last couple of years is your your relationship with your audience and the feedback and all that stuff. What's cool about being a streamer, and sorry if I'm ranting, but what's cool about being a streamer is I can jump into their game, not working with Sony, and sit down and say, hey, this is a really solid, cool game. And I can say that as a gamer, as a fan of the company, as a gamer, as a friend or a fellow I guess I should just say a fellow gamer. I keep saying gamer, but and it's just kind of cool because I think when people see that, when they see me say, hey guys, this game's cool, they know that I'm a gamer just like them. I'm not trying to profit from them or anything like that. So I'm telling you guys, I played the game, at least in that build, and I had a huge amount of fun. And that was even without a ton of players in there interacting with me. And I feel like that would even make it even, it'll escalate it, So if you're asking me about my experience so far, it's been nothing but positive, and I'm really excited. Not trying to overhype. I'm trying to stay realistic, but at the same time, it was very cool.
And that's 5 months ago. That
if you guys think about it too, you guys haven't seen us do much in terms of like trying to advertise and like different venues. You don't see H1Z1 ads or anything like that. It's because we've pretty much put this in the community's hands. We put it in the streamers' hands. You guys have been the most powerful form of advertising for us over anything, to be honest with you. To have Ellohime stream it for an hour and a half. You've just hit thousands of gamers that are very focused. So it's been a good thing. It's been a great thing being transparent like that and getting to work with you guys.
Yeah, and from my side, not to go too far into it, but I think a lot of the streamers really appreciate that. I think a lot of streamers see it as a very symbiotic relationship. It's a relationship that makes sense between streamers and game developers, and a lot of companies, game development doesn't quite see that yet, and I think that they will. Yeah. And it's cool to see Sony. It's cool to see that Sony kind of gets that and see the kind of impact that streamers and YouTubers and people in the gaming media can really kind of pull in the game. And trust me, if I sat down with that build and I just said, guys, I just didn't have any fun with it, like it's just a crap build. I mean, I feel like I could say that to you, Steve, and say, in the build that I played, this game was not where I thought it would be. I really hope that when it comes out, in the early access, that it's really improved, or something like that. But I'm telling you, man, it was great. It was great. It was really solid. I think you guys are going in a great direction. So it's exciting.
But if you don't like something, we appreciate the direct feedback too. So don't candy coat it. Is what we're saying too. If there's
thank God, sucks, Steve, this game. No, and that's the thing is that sometimes you can, from the unique perspective of a streamer, obviously, Steve's a cool guy. I like Steve. Steve and I are friends. I feel like I can call Steve a friend. And I spent
I'm actually kind of an Ello fanboy, just so you guys know.
I'm a Shock and Mini Shock fanboy, so it kind of goes both ways. But you want to be. It's there's a business side of it too. I want to give them the most honest feedback about their product that's possible, because that is the only way, the absolute only way that it can get better. And I don't have to be a dick about it, but it's constructive criticism. It's the same feedback that I would expect somebody to do on my stream to make my stream better. Hey, hello, maybe you say some vulgar words too often, or, well, maybe you could just tone down just a little bit, or, some kind of feedback that coming from the person constructively that I can take and then make, what I do better. And it's the same thing for them. I would never hold back. I don't have to be rude or anything, but I could tell you, hey, this thing that you guys are doing is just not working for me. I don't get it, I don't, whatever. So don't ever worry. I won't ever sugarcoat it, I won't ever. But I also won't, but I also won't be rude about it too. See, that happens so often in feedback, especially on Reddit though. Especially on Reddit, it's always like the feedback is so negative, man. It's like they yell at you for a problem, and then they don't maybe try to come up with a way to fix it or come at So constructive criticism,
I've noticed on Reddit they kind of self-defend too. And, like there's always the group of haters, right? But there's always a group of defenders, right? And it seems to balance out over there quite well, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Except with the downvotes. It's like good or bad discussion could be posted by SOE staff. It still gets downvoted. I guess this is the one last time this year that I'm going to make a little suggestion or something. Please give us forums, Because, I mean, some sort of forum Reddit hybrid actually would be the best, because I like the format of Reddit to be able to get information at the top that's the most recent. But unfortunately, the downvote system makes it so anybody can strike down something that is relevant unnecessarily. So if there was no downvotes, it would just be people upvoting, spamming stuff, and that's fine if good stuff gets upvoted and a couple bad things get upvoted. Whatever, they'll get reported and removed. But
Sure.
is that something that you have an opinion on one way or another? Because I would imagine Free Realms probably had a lot of forum interaction with the dev team.
Oh, they did. I mean, for now, the main forums will be through Reddit, but there's some stuff we're doing that's really interesting. Like, we're working on this system that's web-based that'll let users kind of vote on features we want to put in the game, and as it gets upvoted, at some point we as dev teams will click them and say, okay, this particular item has been greenlit for us to develop at some point, and it's going to go on this page where you guys can see all the things we've accepted or things that we've rejected, and then it'll go to a calendar actually that you can see on the website, and you can see when it's going to actually show up in the game. So that's our ultimate goal, and I think that there is is a nice beginning to maybe the future of growing into larger forms and such. But you're going to have the ability to vote on things in a nice clean fashion and see them get implemented and track where they actually live within our ecosystem of development. If that makes sense.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's being worked on right now. So hopefully we'll have that as we get into launch, early access launch.
Sweet.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of questions going by, and there were a lot of questions asked, but I think we actually got through a lot of the content of a lot of them. So, I mean, if any of you guys had any specific questions or comments or things you wanted to talk about, we got some time here still. Got about 9 minutes left. I'm actually going to do the giveaway draw here. Oh, they're not following the channel. Next draw. They're not here. Next draw. Not following. Next draw. Not following. Next draw. Not following. Next draw. Nakupenda. Congrats.
Wow. Congratulations. Always remember to follow.
Yes. That's just how it goes sometimes.
Hey, Neuro, why aren't you giving away a PS4 like Ellohime does?
Because I haven't been making money off of streaming all year. It's been quite the opposite.
Nero hasn't had the opportunity to sell T-shirts like Ellohime has.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Just kidding.
Poor man. Steve coming in with the tough questions, man. Coming out shots
You
fired.
guys some questions now.
Yeah. Steve's like, all right, I sat here and took your bullshit for 2 hours.
I mean, I've got.
You guys eat sushi. How do you get the rice out of your beard?
I don't get rice in my beard.
I definitely do, and I leave it there for later.
Little snack, little.
Midnight snack.
Yeah, you should add that to H1Z1. It's a survival tactic. You can grow a beard and you eat, but you can also collect food on your beard. And if you ever get really hungry, you can, as a last resort, you can go into your beard and get all the food that you want.
Or you could go into your belly and get some belly cheese.
Sounds pretty bad.
All right.
Well, let me ask you something, Steve. Let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
What is the most exciting part about this for you? Is it the release? Is it is it the early access or the actual release, or is it seeing the people playing your game? Like, what's the most exciting thing for you? I'm curious.
Hands down, the most exciting thing is when you get the game in users' hands, and I literally sit there and just scour forums and Google searches and stuff, just looking for what people are saying, good and bad. Like I've said earlier, it's the most gratifying thing is watching the end user enjoy and hate your product. That's what it is.
Yeah, I bet. I can't imagine, man. It's gonna be so huge for you. I'm so happy for you. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time.
Huge accomplishment. Yeah.
Cool deal. Cool deal. So yes, Naku Fenda is here and has claimed the giveaway, but I will be giving another copy away next week on the next episode. And, you know, if things go well, I'll probably be doing it as a regular thing on the show here. So definitely a good reason to keep on coming back. Even if you don't like me and Krem as much as those two fancy people up there. But fancy people.
Have my pinky out while we talk. Oh, yes. When I drink Mountain Dew, I keep my pinky out.
You know,
I'm all about a peanut butter and jelly and Budweiser.
Whenever I'm drinking out of this small glass here, I always have to remember. Wait, you only have 3 fingers on the glass. Don't raise your pinky, because like if I go up and take a shot, like.
Oh man, stop it, Nero! Listen, now you're as fancy as us. Poor Krim's all alone now. Poor Krim's the only non-fancy one now, man.
Please.
Yeah, I'm a reverend. I'm good. I got my flask though over here somewhere. So
yeah,
I drink my flask with my pinky up. So
yes,
there you go. There you go.
So I have one last question I want to ask about, and this is from our good friend, the resident artist in the community, H1Z1 Jane, the Hayshaker. And that question is, how ready is Player Studio for H1Z1 content? Are there hurdles at the moment, or is it going to be pretty much ready to accept content now?
Wait. Probably not for early access, for sure. It's going to be a little ways in. There's just not a whole lot of data on that yet, so you have to kind of hang tight.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
But it's on the list. It'll get it'll get implemented. Just hang tight, and I guarantee it'll work out just the way it works on PlanetSide and EQ Next and such.
Cool.
Or Landmark. Yeah.
Well, actually, Landmark's a different beast, because I think most of the Player Studio stuff for that is making templates in game, and so it's different. Different.
PlanetSide.
Yeah, PlanetSide. PlanetSide 2 is probably the closest. PlanetSide 2 is probably the closest model of everything H1Z1 until H1Z1's in our hands. So, you know, the system specs rather, to be able to run it pretty close. Should be basically the same, right?
Not sure.
Okay.
No,
No biggie.
not sure.
I'm sure it's probably pretty close. And then one last question before we do our final wrap up here. Any plans for Oculus Rift compatibility? Oh,
you know, we've got a couple guys on the dev team who are big time in the Oculus Rift, including Smed. He's got a DK too. I'm sure at some point somebody's going to spend a Saturday there with a box of pizza and beer and probably integrate that system. So, not right now, but that's one of those things that this kind of comes online because some coder on our team's really into it and really wants to have it in there, and it'll just pop up one day. But yeah, it's not on our list of things to do, but there's always a distinct possibility.
Very cool.
So it would be a great game for it too.
Go for it.
I want to ask. I know that we're kind of going over time, but I have a question. Are there any Easter eggs in the game that we can look forward to finding?
Oh yes, definitely Easter eggs.
Okay.
I can't tell you though. I'm not going to spoil them, but
Yeah. I don't want you to. I just want to
there are going to be some LOLs flowing whenever you guys find some of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right.
I'm excited to find some of those, and yeah, don't reveal them. Like I feel like we've already had some of them revealed in some of the dev blogs and dev spotlight. So yeah.
Yeah. Like what, for example?
Well, I don't know. I feel like maybe because it's a tribute item, maybe not. But I feel like the guitar for I guess maybe because talking about it and the purpose of it is a tribute item for John Roy. That makes sense.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Let's see. What was the item that? I'll talk about it later. I'll hit you up about it later.
I'm just curious if there's
I'm sure there's a few. I'm just not quite thinking about it right now because I'm looking at the clock here and I think it might be about time to. I mean, if you guys want to keep going, we can just keep on going. That's no big deal. But I figure you got a family.
I'm gonna have to get going here because this is normally by the time I start heading to bed.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
So I will. But if Steve wants to stay, it's up to him. But yeah, I'm
good. I've got a flight to catch.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say you two fancy people now.
He has to go and shampoo his hair.
All right. So around the table here, you guys, in your own words, who you are, what you do, where they can find you. Starting clockwise, SonyShock.
Starting with SonyShock.
Oh,
Okay. There you go.
so I'm SonyShock. My name is Steve George. I am the producer on H1Z1. And yeah, I also do some streaming on the side with my kid, Mini Shock. We do a little show. It's the Shock and Mini Shock show. You can find us at SonyShock on Twitter and Twitch TV/SonyShock. If you give us a follow, it'd be cool.
You can find all of us hanging out in that chat at various different times.
Yeah, we're always hanging out there.
Yeah, I usually leave it up and just play my own little games on the side that I don't stream and just listen in. It's always good for a couple laughs here and there. Anyways, I'm yeah. Minnie says some funny stuff, man.
Ridiculous.
And he likes, you know what's great is when he starts.
That's my favorite.
When he starts trolling Steve. He starts messing. He'll start teasing him and messing with him and stuff, and just watching you two is hilarious sometimes. So I enjoy your stream quite a bit. Yeah, you guys should definitely toss him a follow. I'm Ellohime myself. I stream here on Twitch usually in the early mornings Eastern time. I usually hit the European and Australian crowds, but everybody's always welcome. I have kind of more of a late night kind of show, so I'm pretty vulgar. We're never hateful, and we have an awesome community. We have a really I really have to say, even when we get big crowds, I usually average about 2,000 viewers in the mornings, but even when we have like exceptionally big crowds, like 3,000 or 4,000 plus people, the chat is always usually so nice, very respectful. They like to troll. We like to have fun and troll, but we always try to do it respectfully. But yeah, you can follow me at my channel Ellohime here on Twitch, or you can follow me on social media, which is at Ellohime Twitch. And that is my Twitter, and then I have a YouTube /Ellohime. So pretty much everything Ellohime. It's not very hard to find me if you just go to my channel. All that stuff's on there, and you guys are more than welcome to follow or not. You guys are always more than welcome in the chat, and I hope to see as many of you guys there as possible, because we always like to have good people there. And I've seen the chat, and I've been watching the chat throughout the show, and it's a lot of good people. Nobody's really acting up, and cool peeps. So you guys are all more than welcome, and thank you very, very, very much for having me on your broadcast, Nero. I know having other broadcasters on your broadcast is a big deal, so I'm honored, and I'm very thankful to be here. So thanks, man.
Big deal. Heck, I'd love to have you as a regular if you wanted. It's awesome having you on. Are you kidding? You're super
They'll just
cool.
kick me off the show.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that.
Well, I'm always like, I don't know. Whenever I have people, I try to think about my broadcast, and bringing somebody else or other people onto your broadcast is, it's a big deal, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. So I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Sure.
Thank you.
You guys just created a follow stream on me, by the way. My keyboard notifications are going through the roof.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, we have plenty of folks in here that maybe haven't seen your show yet. So definitely you and Minnie, because you guys, it really is hilarious. So I'm actually going to break the order. I said clockwise. Now I'm going to go more of like a Z shape. Kremmy, why don't you give a quick little roundup of what you're all about?
Yes, I am the Reverend Kremchek. I'm also a full-time streamer even. I say a lot of stupid things. It's mostly because...
As do we all streamers.
Yes. So, I do actually have a couple of big things, big for me at least. It's not PS4, but I actually am raffling a ticket to either SOE Live or PAX Prime, whatever the winner chooses, on January 3rd, because I reached a certain follower goal by Christmas. So that's one thing I'm going to do. And then once H1Z1 comes out, so January 15th, I will be starting a 96-hour stream. So my channel will be live for 4 days straight. It's going to be myself, my wife, and my cousin covering those 4 days. And that's going to be pretty awesome. And we're going to be giving away a bunch of copies of H1Z1 during that time. So make sure to check it out.
That is going to be so cool. It's going to be just so much like everybody being tired by the end of it. It's going to be kind of funny.
And all of you are welcome to do a multi-stream with me. Wink, wink.
Sounds good.
Hey, Krem, what day are you giving away the PAX tickets? Was that 3rd? I'll have to be sure to stop by your channel at that
January
time.
3rd, yeah.
All right.
Oh, you want to pay for my PAX ticket? Oh, great! I'll stop by.
Right.
Sure,
There you
man.
go.
You're gonna see Ellohime in your chat entering! Exclamation point!
That's fine.
Enter.
That's fine. I'll just make you buy me a beer when you get here.
There you go. So
I won giveaways in other channels, and everybody's like, "Why did you enter?" I was like, "How do you think I get giveaways for my channel?" Everybody else
Nice.
just enter everyone else's. Anyways,
Oh, man. So I'm, of course, Legendary Neurotoxin. I'm coming at you here every week with a live feature rant, dead feature rant, content and creations, and, various other things. You'll see me around. Oh, and, of course, Theory Forge, because Theory Forge is the happening place. That and content creations and live feature rant if you play Landmark. But if you play H1Z1, come back for dead feature rants. And, of course, when H1Z1 is in our hands, I'll be streaming a lot of it, so you'll be able to find some of that action here. Anyhow, we're going to bring this party over to our good friend Jimmy Wisenhunt. He is one of the he's the senior game designer on the project. Is that right?
He's a senior game designer.
Yeah. So that's the place where we're gonna go. We're gonna go ambush Jimmy Wisenhunt while he's playing a game that looked hilarious when I was watching him play it earlier. So. That being said, it is a wrap-up time. I thank you all very much for coming. See you there.
Bye.
He's out early.
see ya.